Marshall, and you're watching the Marshall's Report, and this is my math channel. What I'm about to do here is to have you go into some math problems here. We are solving equation using PEMDAS. What is PEMDAS? Right here is PEMDAS. P-E-N-D-A-S. There's a short abbreviation for this, for those who may be familiar with this term. This is what is called my dear Aunt Sally. It's just really what is called, really, if you're going to be solving equations that have what you call different types of operations, such as multiplication, subtraction, division, and all those things, you know how to go from which side to which side, and that is called simple order operations. That's what PEMDAS is all about. So because we have to have a particular way of solving, we go from left to right in order to solve this simple equation. This equation has in P is for parentheses. You can write a parentheses in two different manners. You can write a parenthesis just as this. You can have it like two brackets. You can have it like square brackets, or you can have it like bracket. It doesn't matter, they're still brackets, and the real name would be called parentheses. The reason why you put a parentheses next to any kind of mathematical equation is to isolate this is called an exponent. This 3 would be called coefficient. This 2 here has an exponent, but it's in brackets, because whenever we end up, we're going to be changing this 2 into a complete number. So far you have 3 exponent, 3 brackets into an exponent divided by 3 times 2 minus 5. So we have to come up with an answer. So we have to have some formula way of what's called operation that we know where to start from. So you have parentheses, exponent, then the next will be multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. But we just can't go anyway, so you have to have a particular, like an alphabetical order from A to B. So we have this sequence, but it doesn't always present itself. If I'm giving you an equation to solve, it's not going to be that I'm going to start with multiplication, because then I have to start based on reality or real life situations. Right? So what we are going to be doing here, we know that since we have PEMDAS, so we know how we're going to go order of operations, but sometimes we have to totally skip that, because here you have brackets. So the brackets is a parentheses. So you have to work first with anything that is a parentheses to solve it. So we know that 3 is not in parentheses, but the 2 is in parentheses, and outside its exponent. We have over here 2 times 3 is also in brackets. Now what I've done, simply, this was in black and I made this in red. Simply that I can if you notice, I have black, and I skipped down to red, then I went back to black, and so on. So what I'm intending to do is to explain to you how you look at it and explain and come to understanding, because now what I have to work with the parenthesis first. I'm not going to get rid of it totally, but I'm going to, since I'm not going to actually get rid of the parentheses, I'm going to work inside the parenthesis first. So what I'm going to do then, after parentheses, I'm going to solve my exponent. So we know this exponent, this is actually saying 2, and 2 squared 2 is 4. I put it back in brackets. The reason why you put it in brackets, you want to isolate it so it makes sense. That's so you don't think this is 34, or you don't, and you recognize that your exponent has to be worked into the brackets to get rid of the bracket, then work with exponent. So we begin to get rid of the exponent. So square is 4. 2 times square is 4. But we don't, now we write this again, because what we are doing now, since we have 2 brackets, one here, 2 sets of brackets, one here, one here, what we're going to do now, we are going to multiply, because this signifies 2 times, 3 times 4. So that's why we come down here, and then we get rid of the brackets. So we have already worked out our exponent and our brackets. So here we have your true number, the coefficient is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. Now, over here you also have a bracket. So you're going to get rid of this brackets, you're going to work into your main two coefficients. Well, it won't be 2 coefficients, your 2 numbers. So 2 times 3 is 6, minus 5. Right? So now we say 2 times 3 minus 5. So what we are doing also now, we have what is a basic the equation have been signified. This is called, we have signified this equation. So you got 12 divided by 6 minus 5. Now, we are going to go and start doing the operation. So we know that 12 divided by 6 is 2, right? But in order to get rid of this division, we already get this division because we already worked this number, and this is erased. This became this 2. So we have to now subtract 2, the answer 2, the minus of 5, right? So 2 minus 5 is 3. Now, what we say 2 minus 5 is 3. Remember, the 5 is minus, but it's really a negative. So you're saying to yourself, 2 negative 5 is 3. But the 3 also have to have its own sign, negative sign. Because 5 is negative. Now, how do you explain this to you in a sense? Let's say you owe me $5 and you give me $3. How much would you owe me? I mean, you give me $2. You owe me $3. Because really and truly, even though it's negative 5, you're already in equation, you are doing the inverse. So negative 5 means that you are broke, you have no money. So if you give me $2, you still owe me 3. So you are still 3 in the red. It's negative. That's your answer to this problem. So what we are doing here is solving equation, and we're using the very basic principle of PANDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's a way to keep people to remember it. And that PANDAS is really, let's write it over again, is really um, the way how you're going to solve your problem. So it's called order of operations. Use as the basic table of principles to solve this question. Let's go back. Parentheses is always solved first, but the parentheses, and you make sure that you know since you're going from left to right, pandas give you the order of operation, so you'll be able to solve the question. But as you look at it, you know this is an equation, and in order to solve this equation, because you have more than one operation, you have division, multiplication, and this parentheses implies that we have multiplication. But we also have an exponent. So we have to make sense. So if you look at this part, you see this part has become this part. We leave it as it is because now we have to make sure we are working since order of operation. Pandas first, the parentheses, but sometimes you can't remove the parentheses because you don't want to have keep everything isolated, so you don't think that you have 34 instead of 3 times 4. As we go on, I'm going to get you a lot more work, how to solve simple equations all the way up to calculus. But I just want to give you, begin to quench your appetite, or like an appetizer. You go to the restaurant and you eat certain things in order to build your appetite so that when you're ready to eat, you get the main course. So, this is Elvis. You're watching my math channel, Elvis Marshalls'Report, my math channel. Stay tuned. I'm going to give you this particular part, but I'm going to make it like a fraction. So you'll be able to work at it from the same angle, order of operation. But I'm going to make these numbers even a little more complicated in the next show. So stay tuned.